beautiful people. How are you? It's Dr. Sheryl, and today we're going to talk about food. Lots and lots about food. And the basics, how food helps you. We're going to talk about nutrition for trauma care. Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy medicine." Now, recently there's been some disagreement as to the fact that Hippocrates said this, but let's just leave it where it is for now, okay? We're going to talk about self-care and the basics. Just the basics of eating, the basics of food, because it's hard to heal, it's hard to progress if you don't have the basics. So who am I to teach you this? Well, I don't know. I have about 22 years experience in the healthcare profession as an acupuncturist. I also have my Doctor of Natural Medicine, and I have my clinical functional medicine. I'm an iridologist, I'm trauma certified, and I'm Acupuncturist Without Borders trauma certified as well. Love what I do. So absolutely blessed. So today we're going to talk about the basics of eating, how food affects your emotions, how trauma affects the body, because it affects it in different ways. Easy, sustainable eating. And when food isn't enough, when you need some extra help, such as supplements. I just love this. You can rise like the phoenix out of the ashes after narcissistic abuse. That's from Mel. So once again, our basic outline. Let's get going. There's lots to cover today. So, the basics of eating. Can you believe nobody ever teaches us this? I can't even believe it's not done in schools. In school, they talk about the local health guide, what you should eat. You should eat fruits and vegetables and things like that. But they really don't go into detail. And they don't ask you a lot of questions. So, let's start with, why is this junk food? Well, what do you think? What we see in this picture is a lot of sugars, a lot of fats, a lot of non-vitamin, non-mineral, non-nutrient foods. This is junk food because it doesn't give your body what it needs. And even worse than that, not only doesn't it give your body what it needs, but it actually consumes minerals and vitamins to digest. So not only you can put the vitamins in and you eat this stuff and it consumes it all up. So you're basically back at zero. Let's talk about artificial sweeteners. Unless you're diabetic, artificial sweeteners, the amount of harm these do to your system is incredible. Just recently on the Splenda, I think it's Sugar Twin or something like that, where they showed that it actually messes up your DNA. It actually makes it different. You don't want that stuff in your body. You want your DNA to be you. Let's talk about processed foods. So processed foods, they can put anything they want in there, pretty much. There's like 2,500 different chemicals that they don't even have to list on the package to make it so that it looks like food to you. Who's to say it's even food, right? Let's talk about spices. So spices, please be aware that spices, especially things like gingers, which are fabulous for you, don't get me wrong, cinnamons, heat things like, turmeric, cardamom, Tabasco, jalapenos, all of those raise the temperature of the body. And when the temperature of the body's being raised by those ingredients, you need to balance it out with things like cucumbers and yogurts and tzatzikis and watermelons. Because otherwise, it helps you to not think properly. That's not much help at all, is it? So let's try and avoid that, okay? Let's go to the next slide. So, we asked what is junk food and why was it junk food? Why is this good food? Do you notice all the colors? All those colors have their own antioxidants, and antioxidants fight things in the body. They help your body to not be inflamed. We see fish, excellent in omegas, excellent for the brains. It's good for ADHD, depressions, things like that. It helps the brain to be strong and clear thoughts. I added in here some beef because beef is super high in iron, and a lot of people I find these days are really low in iron, actually scarily low. Some of the numbers I've seen coming out of lab tests has been remarkable. Now, where's the salad? Well, there is no salad in this picture because I'm not totally keen on salads. Salads are a whole group all by themselves. First of all, they're cold and your body likes warm. Warm foods are easier for your body to digest, especially when it's going through trauma. I know salads are yummy and they're easy. However, there are bagged salads on the market and bagged lettuce on the market that have huge amounts of bacteria in them. Sorry. Huge amounts of bacteria in them. I'm not sick, don't worry. And people are just washing them, or they're triple washed already, so people are just eating them. And it's actually making them sick. It's making so many people have the wrong type of bacteria in their stomach. So salads, it's okay to get a baked salad, but you have to wash it in vinegar, like in a vinegar water. So add a splash of vinegar to your water and wash it and let it soak there. Let it kill the bacteria. That's why I'm not keen on salads. Let's talk about honey. So, when we're talking about sugars and sweets, I should have included this before, but when we're talking about sugars and sweets, unpasteurized honey is fantastic for you. It has all kinds of B vitamins. It has royal bee jelly in there, and it's actually antibacterial, antiviral, antiparasitic. Honey is a superfood. Now, we'll talk about green strengths a little bit later. Love green strengths. I know you're all like, hey, what about the green strengths? We'll talk about those later. Now, foods that harm versus foods that heal. Sugars versus nutrients versus honey. Interesting. So sugars consume vitamins. They consume nutrients. Whereas honey will give you nutrients. So when we're looking at how to cook, how to eat, how to sweeten our coffees and our teas, we need to be looking at what do we do? Which way do we go? And making those good, clear decisions. Let's be looking at diet versus clean eating. So what is clean eating? Does anybody know? Clean eating is eating whole foods, not packaged foods. And frozen doesn't really come into any of this. Frozen fruits and vegetables are actually pretty decent. Canned are not decent at all, okay? So looking at clean eating, looking at eating whole fruits, whole vegetables, even if they're frozen, but not processed. Meats, things like that. Whereas dieting, it depends on your body. Dieting can actually cause you more harm than good at times. Never mind the yo-yo effect of dieting. Lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. That's just a horrible cycle to be in. And looking at things like the keto diet. Is your gallbladder okay enough? Is it healthy enough to sustain a high-fat diet? Is your kidneys good enough to be processing all that uric acid that comes from meat? And trust me, I love meat. Meat is fantastic for you, and so are fats, done properly, and if your body can handle them. You need to be checking that out first. Start with eating the whole foods. Start with eating healthy foods, fruits and vegetables, no packaged foods. Okay? What about processed versus natural? So processed foods are foods done in a box. It is the hamburger helper. Sorry. It is the hamburger helper of life. It is the store-bought Swanson dinner. It is the, oh my goodness gracious, rice-a-roni. Those types of things. They're the Kraft macaroni and cheese. They're the jarred fettuccine Alfredo. So in processed foods, they can put all these different chemicals in that your body doesn't even recognize. Oh, I just remember something I want to go back on. Hang on. That your body doesn't even recognize. What does your body do with those chemicals? Well, it packages it up. It creates inflammation around them and it packages them up into little fat molecules until you have lots of fat molecules and then you're obese. Something like that anyways, maybe not quite that strong. But that's what we're looking at when we're looking at processed foods versus natural foods. Now, something else we should be talking about that I didn't mention, and now might be a good time to, is looking at diet. So looking at the artificial sweeteners, the aspartame, the Splenda, which we've already brought up the Splenda once, but understanding that those are really quite horrible for you, and studies show that they bring on a whole different assortment of diseases. Now, what about spices and herbs and artificial flavors? And natural flavors, you know, because they can put something that says natural and a natural flavor. And you would think, oh my goodness gracious, this contains lime or lemon or whatever the flavor is. It doesn't contain anything like that. Natural's just a marketing word that the agencies use to say, oh, this is a natural product, when there's nothing natural about the product. Spices and herbs are fantastic for you, especially if they're whole. So when we're looking at oregano or chives or rosemary, if you can get it whole, so much the better for you. You're going to use probably ground turmeric, or you can get whole turmeric. It's quite neat, unique to work with, and it's quite fun, actually. But the spices and the herbs are always going to be much healthier for you. As a matter of fact, did you know that rosemary and thyme teas, yeah, they make it into teas, are actually quite therapeutic for your respiratory system, so for your lungs and your whole breathing system, quite therapeutic. It's quite good for you. All right, let's talk about salads again versus steamed, sautéed, and roasted vegetables. So when we're steaming vegetables, we never want to boil food, because boiling food means all those nutrients go into the water. But if we're steaming food, we have a basket, we put the food to be steamed in the basket, then it keeps all those nutrients and everything. You just don't steam them until they're mush though, right? Because then you're going to lose everything out of them. Sautéed is always excellent. Sautéing in water is probably better. It's a better way of doing it. Just add a little bit of water, saute them up that way. Watching, of course, your water. If you want to add some vegetable oil, like, an avocado oil or a coconut oil, there are burning points of different oils. Maybe do some research on that. Love working with avocado oil. It gives a really good crisp to things. Roasted vegetables, it increases the food temperature of the vegetables. I'll have to explain that on a different day. But it's also really good for your body. That steaming, that warmness, your digestion system loves the warmth of it all. So not very much cold foods, okay, guys? Oh, yes. And one of my favorite topics of all is chewing versus vacuuming foods. Now, years and years ago when I was a waitress and I'd get off shift and hadn't eaten all day, I would vacuum whatever food I could put into my hand. Seriously, buy a hamburger, a fast food hamburger, and on my way out of the parking lot it was already gone and I was turning around for a second one. But those were those days. Thank goodness that's not happening anymore. So let's talk about chewing. Chewing your food. Do you know that you need to chew your food minimum 10 times each mouthful? That's right, minimum 10 times each mouthful. And no drinking when you eat. So you drink half an hour before or half an hour after eating. and you chew your food minimum 10 times. So what happens is that the digestive process actually starts in the mouth with the chemical and mechanical breakdown of food. The mechanical is pretty easy, it's the chomping, right? But the chemical is that in your mouth there are enzymes that are being released when you start to smell food and when you bring the food into the mouth. These need to be mixed with the food enough to start the breakdown of food. That's right. The breakdown of food starts in the mouth. After you've chewed it minimum 10 times, getting everything all chewed up in there, then you swallow and the stomach takes it from there. And that way, when the food makes it to the small intestine, all the nutrients are pulled out of the food. So now what happens if you're chewing away and you take a drink? You're watering down those enzymes. What about you're only chewing away, but you only chew like 4 times? Then the food isn't getting mixed enough with those enzymes. It's not having the chance to get broken down. Okay? So, no drinking when you eat, unless you're out with friends for a glass of wine or something, right? And no drinking when you eat and chewing your food minimum 10 times each mouthful. How's that, guys? Everybody's understanding everything so far? My God, so easy, right? But so much information. So, let's talk about how foods affect emotions. So, having come through trauma, when we add foods, it can affect our traumas. It can affect our emotions. Greasy foods can create mind fog. So, when you're looking at dairies, when you're looking at fried chicken wings that are done in oils, you're looking at French fries that are done in oils. These things can mess, and sometimes high-fat diets, when the body's not ready for it, when the gallbladder's not ready for it. These can create brain fog. Hey, I said it right. Can be difficult to make decisions, can cause lethargy, can even cause grumpiness. Spicy foods, especially if you're already a little bit irritable already, they can create tempers, actually. Especially if they're not cooled down properly, they can affect tempers, irritation, aggravation. Always making sure to balance your food out. When you're eating too much spice, you need to cool it down, right? When you're eating too much cool, you need to add some heat into it. That's why just salads and fruits and things like that aren't healthy for you. You need the warmth. Sweet foods, believe it or not, can cause overthinking. So when you're overthinking too much already, adding sweet foods to the mix just makes it that much worse. And you probably crave sweet foods. And then your brain goes blah, 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 blah. Overstimulation. Bitter foods can create cold in the body. Now that's okay if you live in a hot climate. You can definitely have some bitter foods. You gotta watch them. Some people can't handle bitter foods. Their body systems can't handle it, and they'll end up with things like IBS just from the bitter cold foods. It can also create a lack of energy. So making sure that you're balancing this out. And then, of course, the ever increasing these days food sensitivities caused by definitely too much of the wrong foods. You may not even know that you've got that happening. Just recently I did the elimination diet, and I ended up finding out that I don't like eggs right now, which I was very sad about, because eggs was one of my go-tos. So as the body changes and matures, your foods can change as well. Let's talk about how trauma affects the body, so we can see maybe how foods completely affect the body. So the effect of trauma, when we're in a traumatic experience, we go through the flight, fright, or fawn, or freeze or fawn, right? There's now 4 levels to the effects of trauma. And what it does is it slows down the digestive system a lot. It increases the heart rate, it increases the blood flow, increases the nervous system. Now, when you're going through narcissistic abuse, that is constantly being triggered. And so you're becoming used to that and feeling that way. Your digestive system starts to not work. So, in trauma, cortisol is being released. And cortisol becomes highly toxic, causes inflammation in the body. We can be starting to look at toxicity, high toxicity within the body. Okay? Trauma reduces the release of oxytocin, which is a hormone that creates niceness and sociability in relationships and all of that. And it causes long-term inflammation and immune responses to this inflammation. That's why we see people who get autoimmune diseases. And I'm not saying that they're being abused and because they're abused they get an autoimmune disease. I am saying that those who have gone through narcissistic abuse, it's not surprising to find out that they have Hashimoto's, or that they have food sensitivities, or whatever inflammation disorder that they have. They can also create, like I said, Hashimoto's. So, if you combine the wrong food with trauma, so let's say you're hypervigilant and you add spicy foods, that creates difficulties. If you have got food intolerances that you're not aware of, and you start adding in dairies and wheats and all those yummy cheeses and everything, then you've got some problems. There could be problems there. Not only that, but also in women, as we go through menopause, our estrogen can start to be difficult. And if we've eaten the wrong foods and we have the inflammation disorders and everything else, we could actually have a bacteria that cleaves off part of the estrogen that's being released by our body. And it ends up to be a huge nasty cycle that creates inflammation in the body. We can be looking at things like fibromyalgia as wrong food with the trauma. Looking at asthma and obesity and IBD and inflammatory bowel disease, even celiac. Do you guys see how all this works? That's why it's super important to eat clean food, especially when we're going through stress and traumas, and helping to clear them out and helping our bodies to get back to being beautiful and healthy again. So, let's talk about detoxing, because everybody decides they want to detox these days. Detoxing is fabulous. Please don't get me wrong. However, it takes energy to detox. Your body has to be in a decent place in order to detox. Please don't detox when you're exhausted. It'll be really hard. Start by changing how you're eating. Start by changing the foods you're eating. Give yourself the nutrients, the vitamins, and the minerals to start getting healthy. And then in a little bit, detox. Absolutely. Go slow. Time after time, I've seen overzealous people trying to do the right thing for themselves. Go on parasite cleanse, and then they'll go on a liver cleanse, and then they'll go on a whole metal detox. All kinds of these things. And get the foods in order first. Get your body in order first. Go slow. Take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in a glass of water daily. This will start the process. This will help you to detox. Please do not do a heavy metal detox until you've talked to somebody with experience. Because, especially if you've got metal in your body anywhere, any fillings, you need to be super careful with those ones. Okay? Well, just go slow. This is not a race, it's a marathon. So let's talk about the right foods. What are the right foods? Well, right foods. Same picture we saw earlier. Antioxidants, phytochemicals. Sometimes I can't speak right. Vitamin D, vitamin A, omegas, all so important for your body. Why? Sorry. Think about that. A variety of different colored foods every day. High quality lean meats. Doesn't have to be every day, even every couple of days. Fish is fantastic for you if it's good, sustainable fish. And if you don't want to eat any meat or any fish, making sure you're having a good quality rice and bean at least once a day. That creates a whole amino acid. It creates whole proteins and amino acids, and it's excellent for you. Add in all the vegetables you want and a lot of fruit, and you should be starting to feel better soon. So how do we keep this going? You know hows, you know the rights and the wrongs, so how do you do it? Get yourself the tools that make life easy. You know how you've gotten the quantum freedom healing, or the Sedona method, or a healing method to help you through your traumas? You need tools. You need a hammer to hammer in a nail. You need a crock pot to make things. You need an Instapot or a rice cooker. Love my Instapot. My Instapot does everything, but I have all of these because it makes my life easy. You make healthy, easy recipes. Now, I bulk cook because it's so much easier. And bulk cooking and eating correctly takes food planning. New menus help keep food fresh and exciting, and it is never hard to cook the food. It is the difficulty lies in the planning for success. Now, I try, oh my goodness gracious, when I don't get the food prep on a Sunday, my whole week is messy. That's it. But we do lots of food prepping at our house. All right, let's talk about one of my favorite recipes, yum, 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 because it's so easy to grab jars and go. I make rice, I put it in a jar. I make beans, I put it in a jar frequently with rice because it goes so well together. Then add some vegetables or add some meat on top, add some sauces if you want. Yum, yum, yum. So gather. I'll let you take a few seconds. Make sure you get a shot of this with your phone, a picture. Love balsamic vinegar, honey. Oh, yum, yum. I'm getting hungry just sitting here. So, get 8 glass canning jars, the 500 ml type with the lids. Place 1 cup of balsamic vinegar or apple cider vinegar in a pan. I prefer the balsamic. It gives a deeper, richer taste, but it's all up to you. Bring to boil, simmer 5 minutes. Oh, add the 2 tablespoons of honey first because otherwise it won't be any sweet. And you'll like those nutrients too. Place frozen vegetables in a bowl, pour the balsamic vinegar honey over top, spoon it into the jars, and you've got nice yummy vegetables for 2 weeks. Who knew? Like, that's why you bulk cook. One weekend, do the vegetables. Next weekend, you do your rice and beans. And at some point, you can also do meat. Oh, I love this. Brown rice, 2 cups of spinach. While the rice is cooking, I either take a store-bought roasted chicken and slice it up, or whatever I need to do to get some meat in there. After the rice is cooked, I mix the spinach and the chicken pieces, and I can add curry to that. I can add a pad thai sauce to that. I can add a sweet balsamic vinegar to it. These are easy ways to get it. So, food prep equals weekly food. And because it lasts so long, because of jars make food last longer. Doesn't mean that they're going to last forever, but it does make them last forever. So I can do pickled eggs, and it'll last me a couple of weeks. It's so easy to pull together. I can do pickled onions. They're so yummy to pour on top of stuff. Kimchi's, sauerkrauts, so easy to do. Rices and beans, and all in jars. Super, super easy. All right. So what happens when you're sick? Or your body's not working the way you need it to, and it's been recommended that you have some supplements, or you want to take some supplements. What are you going to take? So when food isn't enough, let's look at supplements. What is so important about supplements? So, lots is important about supplements. There is lots to know. Just like the diet industry, just like the pharmaceutical industry, supplement industry is huge business. And frequently, the companies creating and selling the supplements are wanting to make their shareholders happy, not you. Not always are the supplements digestible. Not always are they free of filler or toxins, or even in the correct ratios. It takes a whole lot of research to understand what is healthy and what is not in the field of supplements. B vitamins are frequently recommended because they're excellent for stress. However, if you see a B100 on the shelf and all the levels on that B100 are 100 milligrams, that is a horrible B vitamin. And the reason for that is that they're not in the correct ratios, meaning that it won't work properly for you. And you think, if you're taking a whole pile of supplements and you're putting a whole pile of garbage into your system from the fillers and the toxins, how much good do you do in your body? So be careful. A good quality supplement doesn't have to cost a lot. It just has to contain the right ingredients and the right ratios, and they have to care. My favorite supplement, and one I do almost every single day, is a green drink. Now, if you can't stomach a green drink, there's capsules out there as well. Greens Plus has some excellent capsules. I like to see organic ingredients with ingredients also just like spirulina or cracked cell chlorella. That's very important, not just the chlorella, because your body can't digest it, but you need cracked cell chlorella. And lots of spinaches and dried vegetables and things like that. That's my favorite supplement. And like I said, it's one I do almost every single day. I know when I've missed it. So watching your supplements. When I see a good supplement, the company is normally grown or has been involved in the selection of the ingredients. The manufacturing process is also huge. Do they have a clean factory? Do you know? It's hard to find out. But you deserve a quality supplement. So you want to make sure that everything is nice and clean. Supplements that come from food grade products, from food grades, are more recognizable to the body than synthesized. B vitamins can be synthesized. Almost everything can be synthesized these days. And that's what the pharmaceuticals do. You want your body to recognize its food. One of my faves is magnesium glycinate because it's easily absorbed. It's excellent for sleeping and calming the body. It's excellent for magnesium deficiency, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, nerve pain, muscle pain, and stiffness, and for moods. Holy cow, it almost does everything. Epsom salts are also excellent, and they are a magnesium sulfate, so a different type. Making sure you're adding 3 cups of Epsom salts to your bath, because otherwise there's not enough in there. Now, I've just done a whole thing on pre and probiotics. Probiotics are very important. They help to replace the bacteria in the gut. However, it's also super important to get the prebiotics to help feed the bacteria. Wonderful things are kefir, sauerkraut, yogurt. Instapot for making yogurt is fantastic. Kombucha, kimchi. I eat kimchi almost every single day. It's so yummy. Salted gherkin pickles, miso soup. The list goes on. But you get those ingredients because they're going to help your gut to be healthy again. It'll help get rid of the bad bacteria and increase the good bacteria. Once again, yummy green drink. Can't say enough about green drinks. Yum, yum, yum. Omega. Let's talk about omegas, especially for moods. Omegas help the body or the brain to think properly. It also helps to lower cholesterol. My favorite omega is Udo omega. But there are so many different types of omegas in foods. Now, this is probably my most recommended supplement, and it's called NeuroPass Balance. It was created by a company called Pasco, which is a German company, and the reason why I love it is it really slows down the mind chatter. I've used it. I've given it to my children. I've recommended it to teenagers. I've recommended it to adults, especially during stressful times. It just brings the body down. It's a fantastic product, and it can be used with other products. Just, you don't have to be careful. You just need to be aware that this is more of a homeopathic product, which means it's processed a little bit differently. Excellent. Excellent for the brain, for the mind chatter, and calming the body. Vitamin D. Yay for vitamin D. Now, vitamin D helps to clear out inflammation. Do you know that they recommend a vitamin D for autoimmune conditions because it actually lessens the severity of the autoimmune condition? Now, vitamin D is a sunshine vitamin, but it's called a sunshine vitamin because you actually need sunshine to activate it. So making sure you're getting outside without some sunscreen. Not for long. We don't want to have any problems. But getting out there without the sunscreen on so that the body can activate its vitamin D stores. And all you have to do is 1 cooked egg a day to get your vitamin D. Now, last but not least, chew, chew, chew. Chew your foods. No drinking when you're eating. And drink the proper amount of water, at least 8 cups a day, to flush out the toxins. Any questions? If you have any questions, you can email me at cherylwrist@gmail.com. Ooh, there's going to be a lot of that. Watch for my upcoming workshops. I'll go into detail on everything we touched on today. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. I know I did. So your homework is chew, chew, chew your food, people. Love you all. I'll see you soon, beautiful people.